Click. So abortion is an interesting topic because, of course, we are about to launch a very important documentary, a doc short on abortion. We spent a day at an abortion clinic in Georgia, and of course, the state of Georgia has some now very, I would call them somewhat draconian laws around women's health generally, and specifically abortion. And so we got some funding to do a doc, and we were trying to figure out, so how do you do a doc about abortion we started right after the Supreme Court made the decision to basically overturn Roe v. Wade. So, our challenge with docs is always, so what's your story? Someone's giving you a little, emphasize little chunk of money, what should we do? And so you use some of that money to figure out, well, what is the story? So then we can go use the rest of the money to go and shoot the story. And we have a really great producer named Crystalline, who was the producer / director on this project, who decided after a crazy amount of begging, groveling to get into an abortion, right? Like step one, you got to get into the clinic because that's where it all sort of starts. She was finally able to get into a clinic in Georgia. And I'm saying that kind of fast because it's so much work and you have to have so much respect from people because they just don't want to let you in. So luckily she has a great reputation. We have a good reputation in our organization that people trust. Like if we say we're doing this, we're doing that. So we were able to get into this particular abortion clinic. And what I love, that's my ice maker, by the way, if you can hear the noise, it's so annoying. What I love about this documentary is that it's got an interesting twist, right? I think a lot of these kind of social issue / political docs are very much like abortion. I am pro-choice and I am right, and here's a movie telling you why I'm right. Or I am pro-life and I'm right, and here's a movie why those people are wrong and I'm right. And actually, I think the nice and interesting thing about doing documentaries is that it's really not about my take on anything, right? You find a character and then you try to follow them down this rabbit hole of what their life is like. And in this particular project, it's very interesting and it's messy and it's got some twists that people don't expect in a doc short. I think we've been trying to get it into a film festival. We got it into Doc NYC, which is a big one, and the New Orleans Film Festival. Both of those festivals are what they call Oscar qualifiers. So I haven't started picking out my Oscar outfit yet, but kidding, joking. But I think that the thing that made it so good was that I think we often don't talk about how complicated conversations and lives that are involved in abortion in some capacity are, right? It's not, I think there's all these stereotypes. Young women just having sex willy-nilly and using abortion as their birth control. I think that's bullshit. I think the actual real stories and what we see in our doc are the number of married couples who cannot afford to have another child, who come into a clinic together. The voice of the protesters, you'll notice in this doc, you hear the protesters straight through. One of the things that the editor did that I thought was genius. Normally, you'd have the audio, sound full, 8 seconds, we drop it, we go back to the story. The sound full for the entire documentary. You hear the protesters the people in the clinic hear the protesters. They're loud, they're annoying, they never go away, they're in your face, they're in your ear all the time. It's a really interesting addition, I think, to how you experience the doc. And then the complicated feelings and contradictory feelings that people have. So I really think that this is a very good project. I've sent it out to a couple of people who I think would give me honest feedback, and they've given us some really good feedback, and so I'm feeling very good about it. So this particular doc, I think, is going to add a lot to noise of New York City, add a lot to the conversation about abortion, which usually I think is not a very interesting conversation because it's just, I'm right. And I think this doc fits in the middle of if you actually want to understand what it is like in an abortion clinic in Georgia, in the wake of the turning over of Roe v. Wade, this is the story to watch. I've got one more minute. Okay, so I guess I have to tell you that we're doing these screenings, and it would probably be helpful, especially if you're in New Orleans, to come and see the film. It's going to be on October 20th. That'll be our premiere at the film festival. And my goal is that people who buy a ticket to the film festival, so you get to watch a number of shorts, I think there are 4 of us together in that film festival, that ticket to the films gets you into the reception that we're holding an hour beforehand. That's just around the corner. So you can buy your ticket, that gets you into our reception. I'm a big believer in food and drink, and I know it's New Orleans, so I know everybody else there is a big believer in food and drink. At first, everyone was like, just wine. I'm like, oh, no, this is New Orleans. You have to have good food and good drinks. So we're gonna have good food and good drinks and a reception. And also the woman who is a security guard at the clinic is going to come in, and we'll have a conversation with her, and also a conversation with some of the doctors who in the documentary are conflicted about, like, what are they allowed to do at this moment in time when everything is shifting. So I'm hopeful that people will join us in New Orleans.